What really happened when Jungkook and Jimin of BTS almost got trapped by an overwhelming crowd of fans at the airport after returning from Paris? Did Mr. Lee's shocking move save them from danger? Or is there more to the story than meets the eye? Share your thoughts, hit like, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with the most dramatic behind-the-scenes stories of BTS. What if the golden boys of K-pop, Jungkook and Jimin, found themselves in the middle of a storm, not on stage, not under the flashing lights of Dior Fashion Week, but at a place that should have been safe, the airport? What if the return from Paris, after a triumphant moment at Fashion Week, turned into something so chaotic, so intense, that fans broke down in tears and security teams were left breathless? And what if, in the middle of that chaos, a single man, Mr. Lee, the trusted figure always shadowing BTS members, made a move so unexpected, so protective, that it left even the most loyal army stunned and emotional? Is this just another airport incident? Or is it the most dramatic moment of BTS's post-Paris story? The scene at the airport was nothing short of breathtaking, but not in the glamorous sense. As Jungkook and Jimin stepped out from the arrival gates, still glowing from their Dior moment, fans who had been waiting for hours surged forward in waves of excitement. Screams echoed through the air, phones rose high above heads, and the glass barriers shook under the sheer weight of anticipation. For a second, it felt like the world had stopped spinning, and all eyes were locked on the two golden silhouettes of BTS. But what happened next shattered that illusion of calm, and almost turned celebration into catastrophe. Did anyone expect that the very same fans who had been showering Jungkook and Jimin with love and admiration would unintentionally become a force that could trap them? Did anyone think that a joyous welcome could transform into a dangerous moment in just seconds? Jungkook and Jimin, used to Adoration, suddenly found themselves surrounded on all sides, their paths blocked, their space shrinking, their safety hanging in the balance. Armies who were closest could see the panic, the tension in the air, and some even burst into tears, realizing the danger they might have contributed to. And then came Mr. Lee, known to fans as a quiet, steady presence, rarely stepping into the spotlight, often blending into the background of BTS's movements. He suddenly became the central figure in the story. With precision and speed, Mr. Lee moved in front of Jungkook, extending his arms like a shield. His voice, calm but firm, cut through the screams, and his body became a barrier between the boys and the rushing crowd. But that was only the beginning. In a shocking, almost cinematic twist, Mr. Lee used a move that no one expected. He pulled both Jungkook and Jimin back, holding them tightly, guiding them into a safer corridor, while signaling security to close ranks. Was this just professionalism? Or was this a moment of personal loyalty? A reflection of how far those behind the scenes would go to protect the idols loved by millions? Fans who witnessed it up close were stunned, many crying uncontrollably as they realized how close their beloved idols had come to harm. Social media later exploded with stories, eyewitness accounts, and shaky videos capturing the moment. But even those clips could not fully explain the raw emotion of being there, of watching Jungkook and Jimin almost swallowed by a sea of love that turned into a wave of chaos. Why does this moment hit so hard? Perhaps because it reveals the thin line between adoration and danger. Perhaps because it shows the humanity of BTS, not just as untouchable global icons, but as young men who can be vulnerable, who can be overwhelmed, who need protection even from the love that fuels their journey. And perhaps because it shows the hidden heroes, like Mr. Lee, whose stories often go untold, but whose actions become the reason Jungkook and Jimin can keep walking forward. But was Mr. Lee's move just instinct, or was it part of a larger unspoken rule within BTS's world? Did he anticipate something like this might happen after Paris? Knowing the golden outfits, the headlines, the Dior spotlight had made Jungkook and Jimin even more magnetic than usual? Could this incident be a warning sign for what's to come as BTS members continue to redefine global stardom? The airport, once again, became a stage. But unlike Dior's runway, this stage was raw, uncontrolled, and emotional. Fans held their breath, some sobbed, some whispered prayers, while Jungkook and Jimin, though shaken, tried to stay calm, their eyes darting toward each other, silently communicating that they were in this together. The bond between them, unshaken by the chaos, only fueled the emotion of the moment. And yet, one question lingers. What would have happened if Mr. Lee hadn't stepped in? Would Jungkook and Jimin have been overwhelmed completely, trapped by the love of their own fans? Would the headlines today be about a tragedy instead of a narrow escape? This story isn't just about chaos at an airport. It's about loyalty, about love that sometimes crosses boundaries, about the fragile balance between idol and fan, and about the hidden figures like Mr. Lee whose split-second decisions change everything. It's about the tears shed not just by the fans who cried at the scene, but by millions of armies around the world who saw the videos, who felt their hearts clench at the sight of Jungkook and Jimin being pulled to safety. So, what does this mean for BTS's future appearances? Will security be tightened even further? Will fans learn from this moment and change how they welcome their idols? Or will the passion that drives ARMY continue to blur the line between love and risk? And perhaps the biggest question, will Jungkook and Jimin themselves speak about this? Or will the silence make the incident even more haunting? The answers remain uncertain, but one thing is clear. The image of Jungkook and Jimin almost trapped, saved at the last second by the unexpected heroism of Mr. Lee, will remain etched in memory. It is a reminder that even in moments of chaos, loyalty shines, love hurts, and behind the glamour of global fame lies a fragile reality. And now, to you reading this, what do you think? Did the fans go too far? Or was this simply an uncontrollable wave of love? Was Mr. Lee's move a sign of training? Or was it an act of pure instinct, born out of loyalty to the boys he has protected for years? Let us know in the comments below, share your thoughts, hit that like button, and subscribe so you never miss the next chapter of BTS's journey. Because if this incident proves anything, it's that their story is far from predictable, and every return, every step, could hold another shock, another twist, another unforgettable moment. The echoes of Paris had barely faded when Jungkook and Jimin stepped back onto Korean soil. The glow of Dior's golden spotlight still lingered on their skin. The internet was still ablaze with headlines about their breathtaking fashion, and ARMY worldwide was still caught between awe and obsession. Yet what awaited them at the airport wasn't the calm embrace of homecoming. Instead, it was a wave of passion so powerful that it turned celebration into something resembling a storm. The airport wasn't just crowded, it was trembling with anticipation. Fans had camped outside since dawn, carrying banners, holding posters, waving light sticks, and clutching gifts wrapped in ribbons. The air itself seemed charged, humming with the uncontainable energy of thousands who wanted just one glimpse of their idols. But what does it mean when love becomes too much to handle? What happens when devotion crosses the line into danger? That question, usually asked in whispers, was answered that night in a way that left fans crying, idols shaken, and a single man, Mr. Lee, transforming from a background figure into an unsung hero whose actions would echo across fandom spaces for weeks to come. As soon as Jungkook and Jimin emerged through the sliding doors, the crowd erupted. The first scream rose like lightning, cracking the silence, followed by 1,000 more. Cameras flashed furiously, the kind of light storm usually reserved for red carpets. For a brief moment, the boys smiled, acknowledging the ocean of faces, their hands raising slightly in small waves of gratitude. But then something shifted. The crowd pushed forward, not maliciously but desperately, each fan trying to close the gap, to bridge the distance between idol and admirer. The barriers rattled, the staff panicked, and suddenly the controlled environment of the airport fractured into chaos. Jungkook's face tightened. Jimin's eyes darted toward the surge. The security team formed a wall, but it wasn't enough. The wave of bodies pressed closer, fans tripping over each other, hands reaching out, voices pleading. "Appa! Appa!" cried some. Others sobbed, overwhelmed by the nearness of their idols. The joyous moment twisted into something else, a cage of devotion, suffocating and unstoppable. And then came the moment ARMY would never forget. Mr. Lee, who had walked calmly beside them as always, expression steady, steps calculated, invisible to most eyes, suddenly sprang into action. His movements were sharp, decisive, almost rehearsed yet filled with raw urgency. In one swift gesture, he stepped in front of Jungkook, his arm outstretched like a shield. With his other hand, he reached for Jimin, pulling him slightly back, breaking the line between idols and fans before it snapped under pressure. The crowd gasped. Some didn't even realize what had happened until they saw Mr. Lee's figure in shaky fan-recorded videos later that night. But those who were close